Hey everybody, it's Steve Blaze from Lillian Axe, and you are listening to my favorite podcast, Nothing Shocking Show, with Eric and Jeff.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Unteed, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Libsyn or any pod catchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. And our guest is
Steve Blaze of Lillian Axe.
Yeah, Lillian Axe has a new record on the horizon. What's it called?
From Womb to Tomb.
Yeah, and it's on Global Rock Records out of the UK. I know Steve was really excited to push this new endeavor, so yeah, we're excited for him.
Yeah.
So why don't we get to this interview?
All right, good night.
Good night. Steve, welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Unteed.
Steve, this is going to be fun to talk to you tonight.
Hey guys, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. It's an honor.
Hey, well, fantastic. We were so excited to have you on tonight. For our listeners, you reside in New Orleans area. Unfortunately, you and your family had to deal with the onslaught of Hurricane Ida. Can you talk more about the impact of Ida in the immediate area?
Sure. We went through Katrina, was it 16 years ago? Like on the same exact day.
Yeah.
If you want to get weird about it, I don't know if it's some kind of weird omen or a curse, but the 29th of August is the date Katrina hit, and I believe it was 2005. So if my dates are correct, it's like the 16-year anniversary. So back in Katrina, we witnessed one of the worst hurricanes of all time. Even though when I was a child, there were a lot of bad ones, but nothing like this. I was told by many people that this Hurricane Ida, as far as wind damage and utter destruction due to wind and rain, was worse than Katrina. What happened in Katrina was the flooding. and the breaching of levees. That's where we had a massive amount of fatalities. There weren't as many fatalities by far fewer, but there was so much damage. I've got a friend of mine who's a riverboat captain. He was in his boat in the river for Katrina and for Ida. He said Ida was much bigger and stronger. When you go around my neighborhood, and I'm in one of the neighborhoods that probably blessed more than most, tons of trees and fences down and telephone poles and cables and 2 million plus people out of power. And I don't know how many lost internet during this, but the power is still out in many, many places. Houses destroyed. It's brutal. And unless you actually witness it firsthand, it's hard to even understand what it looks like, because you can see a picture. I have some friends of mine that took pictures of places that I was actually standing on the day before, and it's like, this picture doesn't look like anything compared to what it really is like when you're there. So, but thank God that, my friends and family and the majority of people that I know had little house damage. And so we're very, very fortunate in that aspect.
So 2 things. The status of your neighborhood, how does it look right now?
It's all right. I've got some neighbors that I'm in a cul-de-sac, so in and out around the circle, everybody has put out all of their trees and limbs. There's a lot of pine trees. That's one thing about this neighborhood. Tons and tons of pine trees. And what they're doing is everybody gets either do it yourself or companies come in and cut up the trees that have fallen, put it out by the street, and they come out and pick it up over the next 2 or 3 days. So it's an immense undertaking when you look at it. But, hey, look, we've been through it before, and, it'll probably take several weeks to a month, if not more, for the majority of things to be back to normal, I would say.
I understand. Yeah. You had to evacuate to Mississippi, correct?
Yeah, I could have stayed here in the house. To be honest with you, my son's 12, and even when we were away, 5 hours away on my in-laws, you could tell he was afraid, He was worried about the pets. He was worried about the house. And he was very worried about his PlayStation 4 because, he did ask me, he said, Dad, if something happens to the PlayStation, can we just get a PlayStation 5 next? I was like, son, if something gets into this house and destroys that PlayStation, we have a lot bigger things to worry about. But yeah, we'll get you a PS5 if we have a problem. So I just didn't want to put him through, because I remember being a little kid and riding out hurricanes with my family, and just the fear, as a young kid. Even though he's 12, he's still my baby boy, and I just don't want to put him through that. And it wouldn't have done us any good to be here. All my animals were taken care of. There was nothing that being here could do for me or for them, and I didn't want them in harm's way, so we evacuated.
Gotcha. All right, well, enough talking about hurricanes and weather. Let's get on to the music here. So recently, Lillian Axe signed a new record deal with a UK label. Can you talk more about the signing process with this new label?
Sure. It's a new label called Global Rock. It's a division of a label called SFM, which is a very large reissue label out of the UK. And I was contacted by the A&R guy whose job it was to start this label up and get the first signing, the initial signing for this label. And the gentleman, his name is Giles Lavery, he contacted me, and we got to know each other through phone calls, and I did my research on, as I'm sure he did on me, and they made us an offer. And long story short, they signed us not only to release the new album in 2022, but to reissue our entire catalog from our third album up through the present. Nice. So we're going to be putting out a CD anthology, a 36-song anthology, which will take tracks from each of the albums and some bonus tracks as well added on. And then they will reissue all of the other records. And it's a worldwide deal. They have great distribution throughout the planet. And not only for physical product, there'll be vinyl releases on everything as well. And, the digital downloading format and, everywhere you can possibly find digital downloading. So it's a great deal. I just signed it a month ago, and these guys are fantastic so far. I hate to be the guy that, as many times as this is my 9th deal, right? So I've been, put through the ringer 8 times. Most people would be very jaded at this point. And even Giles said to me, he goes, man, I can't believe that you're, and I'm not saying this to pat myself in the back, but as nice as you are and as optimistic as you are, because most people that haven't been through near what you have, can't stand the record business. And I'm not saying that I can, but it's business. I understand that it's a beast of its own, but I'm not going to let that affect my ability to make music and get it out to people, So I'm very optimistic, and ask me in a year from now how I feel, and I'll let you know. Hopefully I feel even better, but it's a great situation for us. So I'm thrilled about it.
Well, can you give us a little preview of what to expect with the new album? What are you working on?
The new album is tentatively titled From Womb to Tomb, and it is it's a concept record, so to speak, which starts off with the actual sound of an actual beating heart of the baby in the womb, which is not a boom, 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 boom like a normal heartbeat. It's completely different. First song is called Breathe, and it starts off with the actual birth of the child through all of the lessons from being an infant all the way up through where I am in my life right now, and going on into the day I move on. But it's not necessarily, it's personal, but it takes the segments of my life in chronological order and expounds on the things that I learned at that time in my life. What's it like when you're 0 to 4 years old and you're nothing, and you come out of this, you all of a sudden you have this awareness, and you realize that, what is this big, giant, beautiful thing I've been thrown into? And then later on about how you adapt, meeting other people. And then when you get into learning about life and learning about love and then religion, and then learning about the bad people, and then fighting with spiritualism, and to dealing with death, all these things that go throughout your life. And they are, basically touched on by specific incidents in my life that have taught me these lessons. So I think it's something that the lessons and ideas that every single human being goes through may be instigated by different actual events. Like how I learn about death for the first time in my life is going to be completely different about how you may. But the lesson itself and the realization, I think, has a common thread at how it jolts you and how it affects you. So I think even though this is, based on things that I've learned in my life, there's a commonality for all people. So love is love no matter what. I might have fallen in love with a different person, but that feeling and those feelings are, I think very similar in each one of us when we find that right person. So that's what the record's about, from womb to tomb, from birth to death and beyond.
Fantastic.
And it's very, very epic. I'm getting updated mixes. As a matter of fact, before we got on the phone, I'm on with my engineer sending me new mixes. And at the risk of just being overly happy, it's just a big epic. He was actually teasing me. He said, could you just write a song that's just some guitars, bass, and vocals? Because these things, this song that we're mixing right now has over 100 tracks of music. The keyboards, lots of guitars, huge vocals. But it's all stuff that that is doable live too. It's not
cool.
and I don't base songs on whether or not we can play them live. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of songs, and Queen taught me this. You want to make that album sound like a spiritual awakening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you can do a good version of that song, no matter if you do it without the cellos or without the piano or without 50 guitars, but you do an amazing version, the song is the song. So, but we are going all out with the production on this to make it not only just a spiritual situation, but sonically warm. And one of those records, you ever have those records that you put on and it just feels good? Like the low end just kind of wraps you up and like a blanket and makes you feel good. That's how this is. It's so wide. Like the vocals and the guitars are just spread out. I sit and listen to it in my car, and it's just I'm so happy with it. We've been working on it a long time. Now I have a deadline. So, when you have a deadline, you wind up amping things up and, it gives you that push to get it done. But I think that our fan base who's waited a long time for a new studio record will be very happy with this.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I want to kind of touch upon the label again here. With the label taking on the band's back catalog and reissuing the entire back, is it the entire back catalog or up to from number 3, the third album on?
Everything. The only 2 albums that are not going to be re-released because actually they're owned by Universal, but another label has the licensing rights to them, is the first album, Love and War. So for Poetic Justice on, all of those will be re-released. Psycho-Schizophrenia, Fields of Yesterday, Waters Rising, Sad Day on Planet Earth, Live 2002, One Night in the Temple, Deep Red Shadows, Days Before Tomorrow, and my solo album also.
Oh, fantastic.
Cool.
So as far as when you're discussing the reissuing of these albums, what type of negotiation did it take with you and the label for them to say, okay, we'll take all these albums and reissue? Was it much of a fight at all, or was it a part of the negotiation kind of?
Well, it came down to whether or not they were going to gold plate my hot tub or not. They decided. Yeah. No, actually, no. They were. It was a lot of it was their idea. Hey, look, if they could have gotten the rights to reissue the first 2, they would have. And the cool part about it is that's fine because we have live tracks of the first album that we can put on the Anthology. So, and people can still get it. The important thing is that they can get it. No, they were amazingly cooperative. And it's like, look, we just want to get it out there. We love the band. And, and I sent them the first 2 mixes and they were over the top about this. So, I'm like I said, I'm thrilled about the way they're handling things. Hopefully I still am in a year, and I think I will because I'm getting to kind of know them personally, and I like the kind of people they are.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. With the new label being in UK, do you have a new upcoming tour of the UK coming?
Actually, funny you should ask. They started booking. We have a 10-day run in the UK next August, so 11 months from now. And he told me a little while ago today that 7 of the dates have already been booked. So, and one of them's a festival. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry about that, but it's going to be mainly London, Wales, maybe an Ireland, Scotland show as well.
Awesome.
And so already, so the advertisement for that festival is out. So automatically I'm getting emails and instant messages from fans all through Europe like, what's the matter? You don't like Italy? What's the matter with Iceland? What's the matter? Or whatever. What happened in Norway and Germany? I'm like, look, I'm flying across the pond to come to see you. You think you could just drive a couple of hours to come see me? But we'll be back over because look, we love playing Europe. But there's only so many dates, and we haven't been to the UK in a long time, and we really need to get out there and reestablish. And so we'll hit the UK for 2 weeks, come back, and then at that time the album hopefully will have been out for a few months, so I'll have some feet, and then we'll get back over there and do the rest of it.
Oh, yeah. Cool. The label has also, like you said, decided to release the anthology, and I know a lot of bands are kind of anti-anthology when they say, the anthology, what is this, like trying to say like we're almost done or what have you, like the Rush Chronicles or something like that. But with that being said, what was your thought process of releasing an anthology? Because there's always these mixed emotions when bands and labels release anthologies.
Well, I look at it like this. Think about this, all right? Okay, I want to listen to one of my favorite bands, and I like all the records. I want to hear a little bit of everything. Do I have to, like, sit here and fumble around, or if you still play CDs, pull the CD out, put this one back in there? No, you've got a little bit of everything. So it's like a story with, like a Cliff Notes version of a story, Mm-hmm. So you get to kind of hear different things. And we're going to put, some of the songs that are our better well-known songs, but I'm going to throw some oddballs in there too.
Oh, cool.
And it's not going to be easy to do. I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be easy to do whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's a really hard thing, just like picking a set list. But even harder, actually. So, but it gives people a taste. I figure it like this. We get it out. There's a whole generation of kids that don't know anything about the bands from the 80s and 90s that started. I'm not going to label us, but that's when we started, late 80s. So, I mean, we put music out consistently ever since then. But let's say, hey, I want to get an idea what these guys are about. I'm going to listen to this anthology because this gives me everything from the first record all the way through. And you know what? It's awesome. It's great. So you get like a nice Cliff Notes version. If you like it, wow, I really like this song. What album is that off of? Well, here it is right here. It's off Poetic Justice. Well, I'm going to go get that album. Or they might just go, man, I'm going to go buy every single record because I love, the older stuff and the new stuff. So it's just a way of giving people, it's like a buffet, Yeah. You can't just shove everything down your mouth at one time, but you can get a little bit of a taste of it. And I don't look at it as a grave marker either. It's not you put an anthology out or whatever, and it means you're done. No, not in the least bit. And I can just prove that myth because we have a new record coming out. So,
well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Jeff, you got the next one?
Yeah.
You want to take the next one?
Well, when did you first start playing guitar? What got you into music?
I was 6 years old. Parents gave me a $19 acoustic guitar and a cardboard box for my birthday. And it's funny because we are filming a documentary right now for my ghost hunting show, and we actually have pictures of me, video of me playing that first guitar when I was 6. Oh. And I'm like, that guitar was bigger than I was. And they put me in lessons right away, right at school. And after a few months, the instructor took my parents aside and said, look, he's outgrown the class. I can't teach him anymore here. He's got the talent for this. You really need to get him in private lessons. Mm-hmm. So I started taking classical and flamenco lessons, private lessons, and just from there, kept playing and got into rock and roll when I was in high school, the early Alice Cooper and Sabbath and stuff that nobody my age was listening to whatsoever. But I saw the relationship and the commonalities between classical music and some of this great rock music, the melody wise, and it hit me that it was really all the same stuff, just different instruments and different approach. And so then when I started writing as a teenager and sixth grader, horrible songs about monsters and graveyards, I was doing all this off the wall weird stuff that sounded like Alice Cooper and Freddie Mercury had a kid or something. And it was but that's what I was into. I was into the paranormal and horror and, wanted to be an astronomer. I just wanted to see things outside of the realm of just normal everyday vision. And so I started, that was my developing years, taking the great hard rock stuff that I liked and having that mentality and that melodic way of thinking to create songs. And, they were, I'm sure they were terrible at first, but, I can remember being in the back room and we had those little bitty, I don't know if you remember those little cassette recorders, and you had to push 2 buttons down for them to record, and you had a cable came out to go into a microphone. So I had mine stapled to a big stick. It's stuck in the corner of my bed, so it would be like a mic stand, and press the button. And, it wasn't multi-tracking back then. It was like, you had to play and sing, and a little crappy Radio Shack microphone and stuff. And I just make what I thought were albums of crazy songs, and and I loved it, and I knew it that just got to keep doing it, man. Just you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you got to keep practicing and working hard, and it will pay off.
Oh, so cool.
And so that's what I did.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
I kind of want to bring this back to Womb to Tomb. As far as release date, you said March, right? We were anticipating a March release.
Yeah, I've got a deadline. I've got to get everything finished by February. So maybe a month or 2 away from there, but it depends on the progress. But I'm hoping to get it out quicker than later. I don't want to do a January release too soon after Christmas. March or April are usually good times,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I did kind of want to talk about concept albums. You said this is conceptual. It never fails when somebody says concept album. Some people go eek, and other people go yes. So you have these it's like a 50-50 thing when it comes to concept albums, where people either love them or they just don't get them at all. As far as you go, your writing style, when it came to something like this, was writing conceptually something new for you, or have you always kind of done it in past albums?
Every album has been a concept record. It all has been. Now, the problem is there's this misconception that a concept record is, this is a story about Joe and Johnny who, go on a wild goose hunt throughout the United States, robbing banks, and find Jesus in the end. That's not that. It isn't a story per se with characters. Mm-hmm. Conceptual means there's a linear focus to it. Like concept means there's an idea that links all of the songs together. That's it. The Wall by Pink Floyd is a concept record. Now that one is more, it's kind of between a story and a series of ideas that are linked together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as much as Roger Waters is I can't say the bad word, but as much of an unsavory character as he seems to be with his comments, that I love Pink Floyd, and that album is fantastic. I mean, that is a great record, and he's very talented, and Gilmour and the whole band, they're great. But that's a concept record right there. That's one of the greatest records of all time. That's a different kind of concept. There's some of them that are, and I can't think off the top of my head, that are actually like I don't know, like a Broadway play, so to speak, a musical. Yes. So I think that's what people get the misconception. It's not a musical, it's not, a guy singing, and we went today to the bank and I shot him in the head. That's not a concept record. That's a musical, right? So I'm careful how I present the idea of a concept record. It's not, it's like it's a long series of ideas that are linked together. So I don't think people are going to be.
I say that because you look at something like Music from the Elder, totally panned by fans and critics along. But you get something like The Crimson Idol from Wasp, and everybody loved it. You know what I mean? And similar storyline to a certain degree, whatever you want to call it. But it just seems like it feels like concept albums are a flavor of the month kind of thing. Either people just...
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why do you think The Elder was not appreciated?
Because it was...
I'm going to pose that question to you.
Okay, I'm a fan of The Elder. So the reason why I'm going to say, and I say this all the time, and Jeff will agree with me here, for some reason, fans and critics totally cringe at bands when they try to do something totally different than what they're known for. Does that make sense to you? What I'm trying to say?
Of course it's. Yeah, so absolutely.
That's my thought process when I think of The Elder. I've always loved The Elder, even as a small kid. I love the story to it. But my thought process is like people just could not handle, Under the Rose or the fanfare where it's just the instrumental of horns and what have you. But my question to you is, what are your thought processes on The Elder?
I bought it.
Yeah.
I listened to it. I like Only You. I love that song. There's some good stuff on there. But you're talking about the mass, right? They didn't like it because it didn't sound like old Kiss, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And if somebody asked me, well, what are your favorite Kiss records? I'll tell you the first 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got lost after Creatures of the Night. I don't remember where Elder fits in, but I kind of felt like the Elder was kind of like the solo records were. They were just kind of like Rogue One is in the Star Wars series, right? Just kind of thrown in there on the side. It had its merits, but it wasn't really part of the solid, lineage of Kiss. And that's why people just didn't. It was different. They didn't. They couldn't see Gene Simmons dressed up like a demon. Playing songs like that.
Exactly.
And that's why, just like, and it bothers me because I'm a victim of that sometimes. With some people like, oh man, you didn't write Show a Little Love in the South. No, I didn't. I did back then, and I'm proud of it. I'll always be proud of it. But things change, and if I'm a fan of a band, there's something subliminal I'm a fan of. I may not like every song as much but there's something about the essence of that band that everything they do is going to be. I may not like it as much, but there's going to be something in it for me that I get out of it, and that's how I feel like it is with, like you asked me about the 2 albums, the Crimson Idol, like Wasp was people liked that record. Its songs were still waspish,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Kiss thing was it was a change for them, and people don't know how to handle change sometimes. So, and I don't honestly think the songwriting wasn't, and in my opinion, it doesn't really matter, but it wasn't as, I don't know, I didn't like the songwriting as much as I did, like, say, on Rock and Roll Over and stuff, because it felt like it was, I don't know, wasn't what I was really wanting to hear from them. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that it was bad. It's just, like I said, I bought it and I still listen to it to this day, but It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite.
Oh, well said.
Yeah.
Jeff, you got the next one?
I was just going to ask you about the, going back in the time machine back to like 1987, touring with Rat and Poison and Queensryche, and then, catching the eye of MCA Records and stuff. Can you talk about those early days and the formation?
Yeah, I started the band. The official start to me was Halloween night '83. We spent 3 to 4 years, the 4 of us, me, Johnny Vines, Michael Max, and Danny King, humping and jumping everywhere. Those were our wild days. We were playing everywhere, driving equipment truck with crew. You had the quintessential road crew of 5 guys, eat bologna sandwiches and sleep on a park bench, but we're in the band and, like stuff you don't see these days. And then we traveled around in a pimped out van, with our singer driving, and we went everywhere, and we built this huge following. And we started branching out, and then one day we got asked to open up for Rat and Queensryche on 5 shows, and Poison was on one of them. On 5 shows, we did that. After the second show, Marshall Burl, who was managing Rat at the time, called me up and woke me up early in the morning, asked me if I wanted a record deal. And that was the beginning of it from there. But that's how it all started. We just played everywhere. We would play Lafayette, Louisiana on a Wednesday night and draw 500 or 600 people. It was just, we were our own entity. We were playing Priest and Motley Crue and, Iron Maiden and all that stuff that was kind of like, the music that, if the cool kids were listening to, but, was just starting to make a name. But we were doing our own stuff too. And we started out, and I'm going to tell you, all the dressing and stuff that you saw these bands in the late 80s doing, we were doing it early 80s. Like, we tie everything from if I walked into a furniture store and I saw some scraps of leather laying on the ground they were going to throw away, I asked if I could have them so I could tie them around my leg or something. We had no boundaries or fashion sense, but we just went all out, and everybody started doing that. It was crazy, but it was great times. But that's when I wind up getting the deal with MCA Records. Yeah.
Oh, so cool. All right, so we're really going to take this another direction now. So you're also a ghost hunter.
Yeah.
And you're shopping a ghost hunting style documentary. Can you talk more about this venture?
Yeah, I started about, I want to say 8 years ago. I got approached at my niece's birthday party from a guy who had a production company in New Orleans, and he had seen one of my interviews that I was into ghost hunting, and he said, "Hey, my partner and I have been talking, man. We think that what do you think about a reality show, rock and roll guitar player / ghost hunter reality show? We can film it, we can produce it, and we can shop it. We got connections here, and here." So we spent like the next year fine-tuning a show with where I put a ghost hunting team together. And it started off where we were ghost hunting, and we were doing casting calls for people to join our team for that particular episode. At the end of the season, we would pick who was the best ghost hunter to officially add to the team. We spent a lot of time on that. The two guys wound up being a joke and had really no clue what they were doing and dropped the ball. But it led me to meet a lot of other people and move forward. And over the last few years, we have had multiple people in the business, so to speak, shopping this to the point where it got to the desk of Mark Cuban, who nice. One of his top producers, like, "I love this show. I want to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it." And Mark Cuban said, "Nope, no ghost hunting or cooking shows on my network." Didn't even give it a chance. So we also got Destination America gave us a time slot and the green light to go ahead. The problem is we had to fund the show and just present the show to them, and we'd have a 9:00 Saturday show. But the funding all fell apart because we had a bunch of people that were talking about funding money, and these were people that had never really done anything like that. They had the money, but they got cold feet. At the end of the day, another, lost cause. So, Jason Hawes, the head of Ghost Hunters Taps, I don't know if you remember them.
Oh, yeah.
We talked to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to be a producer on this show, man. I like the idea." He said, "I'm going to shop it to my people in New York. Is it all right? Is there room for me?" We're like, "Absolutely." Disappeared. Told us he was going to do something. Never got back in touch with us after that. And no idea. That's all I can tell you. I'm not going to talk good or bad or indifferent, but I'm just telling you what happened. So he was all gung-ho, and I don't know if he got tied up with other things. Maybe so. But a phone call saying, "Hey, look, I don't have time." That would have been nice. So in the meantime, present day, my partner in crime here, Todd Schmidt, amazing cinematographer, director, producer, videographer, who does everything that involves me. He's my co-host on my podcast as well. We decided, you know what? We've got this team that I put together of 7 amazing ghost hunters, and we're going to just do a documentary. So we did. We filmed it, and we are in the process right now of editing it because we do have the contacts that can get it on the proper streaming networks, and we're going to do it ourselves. And so far, it's coming out swimmingly well, but it's a long process.
Yeah.
So now we're just into the editing thing. So my team's called The Veil. I have a great team of ghost hunters. I have my number 2 guy is a ghost hunter that's been doing this for like 35 years. I have a medium who is a well-known book author. She's a medium, clairvoyant, and psychic. Well, not psychic. I wouldn't say psychic's a bad word. She's a clairsyndium. So she's a medium, clairvoyant, and sensitive. Psychic's just kind of got a bad connotation. And then I have the head of product development for PV Electronics is my audio video guy. I have an actual scientist from NASA who is on the team. And then Al Moran, my stage manager and go-to guy for everything, all things in my life, especially musical. He and my brother Gary are our techs that set all the gear up.
Oh, cool.
So together we're the Veil, and we ghost hunt, and we are very legit and very well done. So the documentary is going to be very cool. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, fantastic.
Do you guys do it around the Louisiana area there, or do you branch out anywhere else?
No, it's mainly Louisiana and Mississippi. The documentary is done here locally, and I'll tell y'all off the air, but it's kind of like a secret to the location because we don't want everybody else going, oh, we got to go there, you know. But they do that. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, you can't keep the secret in the ghost hunting world, because as soon as you say something, you know, this was a great location, all of a sudden, you know, we had to go through hell just to be able to get there. Building permits, insurance, everything to film there. So,
very good.
But it's great, though. It's going to be a really good documentary.
All right, so we got one last question for you, and then we'll let you go for the night. So you just touched upon this. You're a podcaster. Your podcast called Love and War Podcast. Can you give us a little insight more about the podcast and the subject matter?
Sure. I don't know if y'all could tell yet, but I do like to talk when I'm talking to friends. And so Todd and I been talking about wanting to do a podcast. And we're like, you know what? It doesn't have to be, you know, all frilly and everything. Let's just put some mics down and, you know, I've got a large following out there and the great people. Let's talk to them. So we did it in my garage. It's called the Love and War Show. It's on YouTube. You have a channel with all 40 episodes. You can go to my Facebook page, Steve Blaze Facebook page, and pull them all up. And it just started off with us being stupid and talking about everything. And, you know, it's kind of funny because if you'll find there's this weird relationship with musicians and actors and comedians. Like actors all want to be musicians, and all musicians want to be actors. And I'll be honest with you, I'm one of those guys. I love to be acting. But comedians they're involved in everything, you know, and we're actually really funny when we get together, and most people think we're very hilarious. So we just get together and we start talking, and we started because Todd is such a video guru. We started within our boundaries of what we could really do, doing skits and segments, right? So we started off with one. Al, I was telling you about Al Moran, my stage manager, is the selfie king. So we started a segment called Where's Al, where Todd would superimpose Al's face on any pictures we could find, because Al has like 640,000 selfies on his cell phone, right? And we started making jokes about, like, you know, here's one of Al with Jimmy Hoffa, and like we have Al, his face superimposed over Jesus at the Last Supper, or no, I take it back. He's sitting next to Jesus at the Last Supper. So here he is, and you know, we got him as a caveman riding a dinosaur, and you know, so the whole thing kept evolving. And then, so now we have better gear. We have, you know, multiple cameras, and we got 40 episodes. And we haven't done it in about 4 months, but we're getting ready to start up because we have some new equipment. But my little boy, Jude, he has a segment called Jude's Joke of the Week. So he looks up and finds out different jokes, and he tells his joke of the week, which is now like 2 or 3 jokes, to all the fans, and let them, you know, try to guess the joke. And then he has a segment where he has to stump Al. So if he wins, like, he comes up with a question that's, you know, if like Halloween, it's a Halloween question or whatever. But like 5 questions, he has to stump Al. If Al gets it, Jude has to give him a candy bar not to exceed $1 in value. And if he stumps Al has to give him $1. So usually he walks out of there with like $4 or $5 in his pocket. And then, so we do the, you know, different things like Steve's Word of the Week, and we collect pop vinyls or Funko Pops, and so we bring those on there. We take phone calls. My mom has a segment. My mom's 78, and she is the biggest character, and she's always telling, you know, what to do and how to do it. So we have, you know, we have a segment where my mom gives advice on love and health and stuff. And it's real funny, and if people crack up, because I give her a lot of grief, and she cracks up laughing. Like, she'll tell you, tell all your listeners, don't eat hot dogs, they'll give you leukemia, and stuff like that. So my daughter was over at my mom's apartment and found my mom had a pack of hot dogs in her freezer. So we took pictures of that and busted her on the air. Mom, you're always talking about hot dogs, and here we are. And we showed the picture, and she got busted, and it's just 2 hours of hilarity and stupidity. And then the end of the show, Al dresses up as a different singer every week, and I play the acoustic guitar, and we do a medley of their hits.
Oh,
we've
cool.
done Daryl Hall, Freddie Mercury, Dr. Hook and the Medicine Men,
Nice.
George Michael, Elvis, Alice Cooper, Axl Rose, Bad Company. We've done it, and it's so funny because Al takes it really, really seriously, and we mess up a lot, and that's hilarious because we don't ever really rehearse it. We just like wing it, and it's just hilarious. I guarantee you watch a couple episodes, man, you'll be like, this is like the funniest, stupidest show I've ever seen. but people are like, you know what, on a Sunday night, after the week and get ready for new week, it's like they look forward to just cutting up with us, and it's a lot of fun, man.
Oh, so cool.
I wish I could do it every day. I wish I could have a 6-hour podcast every day and do it. It would be amazing.
If your name was Joe Rogan, you could do that.
Oh, I know.
All right,
I'm telling you, man.
We are out of our allotted time, but before we let you go for the evening, is there anything that we left off tonight that you would like to promote or plug?
No, I think we're good, man. I do have a new project. Well, I've got a cover band, which has Lillian's bass player and singer, Brent and Michael, in the band called Sledgehammer. We do classic arena rock. We play around. But I have a brand new project, which is called Maiden LA. It's an Iron Maiden tribute.
Cool.
Michael, from my bass player from Lillian's, in that. And we do 2 hours of the best Maiden stuff. And we did our first show last week, and it was amazing. So I'm out doing that. So if anybody's out in the area, check out Sledgehammer and Maiden LA. Lillian's got a lot of shows coming up. The whole new catalog reissue plus the new album. And look for the documentary called Through the Veil, The Ghosts of, and I can't say the name of the location. I'll tell you later. And that's it. And the podcast, The Love and War Show. Other than that, I think that's pretty much all I have time for.
Exciting times to be Steve Blaze, for sure.
Yeah, and it was great to meet you guys, man. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be on your show.
Oh, man, it was fantastic having you. So before we let you go, this is how it works out. We have about 3 weeks worth of content that we have to release before yours, so we're looking at about 3 to 3.5 weeks right now. Feeling like at least. But when it is, I'll send the link to you right away. Jeff, the editing wizard, he does all the editing for it. He does a fantastic job.
All right, stay in touch, guys, and I'll keep you posted on everything. Thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Lillian says that